on the one hand, like, what's the point of me reviewing the new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album, Flight B741? You know, they come out with a new album every year, some kind of rock adjacent genre hopping, especially me, like somebody who's only started listening to their music since the album KG came out. You know, like, what's the point? You know, they're one of these bands. I remember my brother a long time ago. We're talking 30 years ago. I was talking to him about Pink Floyd and about The Who. And he just said, you know, once you get stuck in a concept album, like once you do one concept album, it's almost impossible to break out of just doing more of them. And the examples he gave were The Who and Pink Floyd. And it was a pretty good example. And in a way, you could say that same thing about King Gizzard. You know, they're just sort of always doing something, and it's vaguely thematic, and it's usually thematic around the style, the genre of rock adjacent music that they make, and that's totally valid. But on the other hand, hey, shut up. On the other hand, I think it is especially important that non-Giz heads, non-super fans review their music, because this is not, you know, Madden 25. This is not just every year they slog out something and they just churn it out. No, this is a time, and it's a very important thing to recognize, this is a time where we as music appreciators have to just stop and say, great. Stop and say, thank you. Look around and say, gee, wow, golly, gosh, darn, heck, these guys are still doing it. They came out with an album last year that was radically different than the one before. That was radically different than the one before. Yet it all still feels the same. And they're still working in a genre which, I'm not a rock is dead kind of guy, but I am a rock that is not post-punk is basically dead kind of guy. The kind of rock that this music is basically dead. And yet here we have Flight B741 carrying it. You know, I mean, it's almost like King Gizzard and most of Australia, for that matter, are like single-handedly carrying rock music as I would have understood it as a 16-year-old in the 90s, you know, listening to classic rock music as I would have understood it. So those are the reasons to review and not to review. And in the end, let's just, at the very least, let this be a document for people in the future who look back and say, how did everybody feel about King Gizzard releasing like 1 to 2 albums a year of this quality? Were people noticing? Did people take care? Or was it just all of the nerds who were just waiting to save up their money to fly to Red Rocks? Thank you for auditing the Always Positive Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who is extremely jealous of those nerds who can save up money to go to Red Rocks. It's like one of my big goals in life. Ever since I missed that show, what was it, July 8th, 1978. I was under a year old, but I still could have been there to see the Dead play at Red Rocks. It's been my dream to see some great concert there, and really, what could be better than what I had declared in the past, and what still seems to be clear, the best jam band in the world. But that's not what this album is about. This album is doing something nigh impossible. Yeah, I said nigh. It is nigh impossible to do what King Gizzard did on this album. They made, in 2024, a good blues rock album. What? A good blues rock album? When I say blues rock, I mean the kind of rock that you think of when I say rock. Like the Stones, like Led Zeppelin, the kind of riff-based, swaggery, semi-simple but hard-driving, not quite hard rock, not quite heavy metal, not quite blues, but just blues rock. What if I told you that you could have an album in 2024 that's blues rock that does not absolutely suck ass? Excuse my terminology. I was back in the 90s again. I'm talking like a teenager. But that's a pretty rare and wild thing. Feel free to tell me in the comments. Actually, Skye, you missed that Jack White album. That's also a great blues rock album. Maybe that's true. I haven't listened to it yet. I had a weird experience in Tennessee when I visited Third Man Records. And I saw a guy get hit by a train, but he was fine. I saw a guy get hit by a train, but he was fine. That was my experience at Third Man Records. Anyways, maybe I'll tell that if I ever do a Jack White video. Which I probably won't do, because eventually my wife is going to have this baby and I'm going to have to stop doing new reviews. I'm going to have to drop my backlog of far out there videos I've been waiting to drop on y'all, but that's okay. So what makes this album such a good blues rock album? Well, first of all, I don't think it's trying super hard to be a blues rock album. I mean, I can pick it out by certain tropes that it's using, but it still feels very King Gizzardy, but it's not full lizardy wizardy. You know what I'm saying? There's not like a ton of weird half-step, atonal, crazy guitars made out of 5 different guitars fused together and blessed by a mage. You know, it's none of that kind of stuff. It's just pretty straightforward playing. And then the thing that becomes very clear when you listen to it, and then I just read just this much. I read like this much on Lyric Genius, okay? This much on Genius about this album. The most important thing is what one of the dudes says. I believe Stu is like the voice piece. By the way, if you are a King Gizzard fan, I have some bad news for you. I don't know the names of the dudes. I believe one of them's named Stu, and I want to say one of them's name is Ambrose, but that's about it, okay? I am not a super fan, but I own like King Gizzard albums and I listen to them and I love them. But like I'm not sitting there on the message boards. So please allow me into this space to talk about it as a complete ignoramus, okay? According to whoever it was that said this from the band, quote, "This is our most collaborative record. The notion of all the musicians playing being 7 for one purpose, the one effort thematically appropriate." So apparently that's where the title comes from, B741, because there's 6 members and one other dude who, I don't know, is just some other dude who's around them who they like. It must be an Australian thing. And that's a very clear in the whole way that it sounds. And that's maybe like the thing that they do better than any band I can think of. Like they are really not just like 1 or 2 guys who are just out front saying like, "Hi, I'm Gizzard, and these are my wizards." You know, it's not at all that. I was not trying to do an Australian accent there. I ended up as a British accent. I'm not going to try an Australian accent. It always just turns into Bane. And it gives this whole album an interesting vibe because especially they keep changing singers. Now, I've been doing this thing where I have a teenage daughter and we listen to a lot of Beatles in the house. And I quiz her. I make sure that she knows what's a John song and what's a Paul song. She got tripped up on Helter Skelter. We all got tripped up on Helter Skelter. When you found out that Helter Skelter was written by Paul, you were like, "No, it wasn't. That had to be a John song. There's no way it wasn't." Right? She's doing pretty well. I had to tell her the truth. I didn't pay attention. I didn't know what a John song was or a Paul song was. I didn't, like, up until I was like 30, I never even thought to differentiate between who was singing. Okay? So keep that in mind. Somebody, you know, who's read like 20 books about the Beatles and all that stuff, I wasn't paying attention to their voices. I've had no idea the entire time I've been listening to King Gizzard. This is what, my 8th album of theirs? I don't even know there's different singers. I just thought there was like one guy who sang in a different way. I mean, now it makes sense. And maybe I'll start to flesh that out as I listen to them more. But it gives this whole thing this super collaborative feel. It's on what I call the Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12 divider. So Ocean's 11 is a brilliant, smart movie starring a bunch of people who liked each other, making a movie and having fun. Ocean's 12 is an unwatchable circle jerk of a bunch of people who love each other and just wanted to hang out together and talk about all the great pranks they played on set, okay? It's a very fine line. And this gets a little bit, not self-indulgent in the way that it's like, "This is my vision," but just like, we're having so much fun. But it's great. You know, when I'm thinking about what this album is, you know, I saw the album cover, I'm like, is this like that Wes Anderson movie about the Island of Dogs? It looks kind of like that. It's like a triplane with a bunch of pigs on it. And listen, I'm not OCD. I'm not even the kind of guy who says that they're OCD when I'm just slightly particular. In fact, I'm the opposite. I generally leave. As a matter of fact, right here, this is my actual drawer. There's an actual drawer to my actual stuff. I leave it just a little bit open, okay? But the fact there's more than 7 pigs on this airplane drives me nuts. There's 8. There's like 9. It's like 9 pigs. Anyways, so what is this album about? Okay. The thing that even their name just implies is I often feel like they're trying to connect to a certain feeling you used to be able to get from rock music. That's the sound of my baby downstairs. She's probably hungry. I just fed her some banana and beans. but she might be hungry. We'll have to see. I might have to stop the video. We'll find out. Okay, just hang with me until then. So like you had this feeling, you know, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when you had liner notes, you have sort of like images of fantasy, like fantastical images. I think in particular of Led Zeppelin 4 with the weird sort of wizard standing on a mountain with a little lantern looking out over the world. And it's a fascinating thing to like draw you into it. The TV show F is for Family plays on that a little bit as well, with the teenage character getting obsessed with the kind of world of fantasy. They often feel like they're trying to tell stories with their albums that you can sort of think and go along with as you listen. That is a lost art. It's not the same thing as a concept album. You know, this isn't the story of like, you know, Porky Pilot who like figures out how to fly and takes everyone off to Magic Land. It's nothing like that. It's like more like themes and imagery, and it gives you this whole basic sense of adventure, of flight away from things, a real sense of togetherness, and then it ends on a real hippie dream. They're a very hippie band in the best sense, that they're like talking about things that matter, which is like just global warming over and over again. They have an over-reliance on self-medication, which is not too much on this album, which is nice. And then just general sort of peace and love stuff. So let's go through the whole album. I'm not going to do like a particular stamp, like one particular song, because really just the whole thing works. The whole thing, you know, it starts off with the track Mirage City, sort of declarative feedback to start, just a very standard classic rock, blues rock intro. Nice kind of guitar playing muted, sort of hooky, and then ends up this sort of faux country style. And that's another thing about blues rock. You know, when we think about like the Stones or Led Zeppelin, those are the main two sort of touchstones that I think of. Like they would often go into some kind of folky country style song sort of out of nowhere. And that's really where they start here. The guitar here does remind me very often, all the way throughout the album, of the noodly licks of Jerry Garcia. I don't think that it might be on purpose. I don't know. There's just a lot of good guitar here. And then there's a lot of that harmonica. And the harmonica is a tough instrument. 9 out of 10 times, if I hear a song with harmonica, I would prefer to have a harmonicomedy. Harmonicectomy. I would like to have the harmonica removed, just in general. But this is a specific kind of harmonica. It's not Bob Dylan, you know, hey, mini, 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 mini. It's not that. It's like very bluesy, Midnight Ramblery, Mick Jagger, that kind of style there. And there's even kind of a fun sort of jamboree jam. And again, they're just the best jam band. But let me tell you why they're such a good jam band. I've never heard a single live performance of King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. I'm so bitterly holding on to this dream of going to see them in Red Rocks. Hell, I would even see them in that stupid ball in Las Vegas, you know? I wouldn't go see, like, the husk of the dead, right? I wouldn't go see U2. I bet, but you know, like, I'm so excited to see them live. I'm afraid to hear them live. But if you know, I have over 100 hours of Grateful Dead bootlegs on tape, because I used to trade them back in the 90s. I wouldn't listen to their studio albums if you paid me. I just couldn't stand them. They just weren't good. They didn't transmit any of that joy or energy that I got from watching them in concert onto disc. And this band manages to make songs that are cohesive and well written and thought out and engineered and produced, but also give me that jam band feeling, that feeling of 6 people playing together in a way where only those 6 people can play together, and they know each other and they trust each other, and they're like dancers, you know, like dancers who know each other. Right? There's a reason that like great couples dancers are always partners. You can't just be like the best male dancer and then the best female dancer from different parts and never work together and be great dancers. What is this song about? Pigs flying through space? I don't know if this is supposed to be a Pink Floyd thing with animals. Okay. As much as you can have a rock album about flying pigs not be about Pink Floyd, that's how little this is about Pink Floyd. No, you know what? I'm going on record. This has nothing to do with Pink Floyd. Because Pink Floyd, Animals, great album, my favorite Pink Floyd album, one of my favorite albums in the 70s, realistically, if I had to think about it. But it's a preachy, atmospheric, groovy kind of thing. It's not like this. I like this because it's this Mirage City is like a fantastical place where they're going. Reminded me of the opening track of the Who Sell Out. Eventually on this channel, I'm going to do an album praising the Who Sell Out as like one of the top albums of the 60s that everyone sleeps on. It opens up with the song Armenia, City in the Sky. The same kind of basic idea, sort of invitation to travel. Of course, I think Roger Daltrey had never heard of the country Armenia, because Armenia is just pronounced as Armenia. We'll get to that some other time. But what I like about this is there's this city, but then they're disillusioned with it. And that's one of the main themes. You know, we go back to that album a couple albums ago, Petar Dragonovich, whatever that one was, about the big lizard, and how much they have all this stuff about global warming. You know, you can't really get away. That's the problem. Unless you go to track number 2, Antarctica, loosey, jammy. Really, I feel a lot of Stones on this album in a really positive way, kind of sticky fingersy away. Okay, so the thing is that I think blues rock was killed by Lenny Kravitz. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe it's not fair, because someone else could have made blues rock, right? But Lenny Kravitz is so bad. So bad. So bad. If you have not seen Pat Finnerty's video, The Kravitz Bowl, you have to see it. He doesn't go hard enough on how bad Lenny Kravitz is as far as like rock and roll and just destroying rock and roll, just killing rock and roll, right? I will take 11 discos. I will take 20 drum machines over like one more Lenny Kravitz song, because Lenny Kravitz, when he makes music, it sounds like it should be what rock and roll is. It looks like it should be what rock and roll is, but the thing that it is just horse hockey, and you just know it when you hear it. So anyways, I think they're doing okay, so when I talk about kind of Stonesy feelings, I actually brought a prop. This is my Strat, my Mexican Strat from like 1990. Dad bought it for my friend, Belmont Music, Massachusetts, but then he didn't want it, so I ended up with it. Awesome, cool having a guitar. So what they do is the Stones do a lot of open tuning, and in particular this little trick here where they do a sustain on a chord. Right, that's just like your general kind of Rolling Stonesy feel. It allows things to be loose, allows things to be kind of sloppy, because like everything just sounds good. Like that's just open. That's just one thing playing like that, as opposed to, you know, most chords in standard tuning of guitar where you have to do all this kind of mess. So when I say Stonesy feeling, I often just mean that kind of thing. Now, they're not doing exactly that, because King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard's a super good band, and they know that it's hacky just to do dan 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 dan, because that's what the Counting Crows were. Not the Counting Crows, the Black Crows. Did the Black Crows kill blues rock? Ow! See, I like the Black Crows, but no, they were trying. I think they were trying. I think they might have been the last band to try, but they were just so damn into the affect. Anyways, a nice little post-verse jam here, all about a snowball's chance in hell. Man, these guys write the worst lyrics, but I like their bad lyrics. I like their bad lyrics because they're honest. Like, they're not, like, trying to be too clever. Like, they're just really good musicians. And, you know, that's why the Grateful Dead had guys like Robert Hunter writing the lyrics. I mean, even he was not a great lyricist. I'm sorry, Deadheads. Box of rain. Anyways, but you know, he was a better lyricist than presumably Jerry Garcia would have been. I want my heroin. But like, really, I'm catching strays. Can I possibly make Deadheads angrier and happier in the same video? I have 100 hours of bootleg Grateful Dead cassette tapes, and I'm making fun of Robert Hunter. But like, it's honest. They're not really trying super hard. It's important that it's them. I'm glad that it's them. I'm glad they write their own lyrics. It really is just a way to say something to go along with this great music. I do wonder if this is not perhaps, and I don't know, but when I think of bands making great concept-ish albums, and then one of them has a continent with the letter A, I think of the song Australia by the Kinks. So I sort of feel like The Kinks wrote a song called Australia. Then an Australian band wrote a song called Antarctica. Next, we have to have an Antarctican band who writes a song about Europe. I don't know. We'll just kind of keep going all around the globe. And it's just an awesome live jam. You know, when I watched a little bit of the behind the scenes footage on their Instagram of making this album, and you know, they're all playing together, and that's just, some bands, they just have to play together. And this is why I'm doing this stupid video. This is why I went with the other hand and not on the one hand. Because on the one hand's a hater who just can't appreciate all this stuff. Next song's called Raw Feel. Cool kind of time signature-y jam to start a little more of that Gizzy style. Okay. I'm not big enough, right? But if I had them Fantano clicks, you know what I would do with it? I would like push through to push on bands to release remixes that suit me. Now, I don't care about mixing in music in general, but I started with KG. That was my first album. So I got used to a certain level of whoo. And at this point, when I listen to King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, I'm mainly listening for the whoo, right? That's the pickle in the McDonald's hamburger, okay? That's the thing that you're looking for. That's what you're waiting for. You eat the meat, you eat the buns, you eat the ketchup, but what you're waiting for is that little whoo, and that's what I'm waiting for. So there's whoos on this album, but the whoos are just not loud enough. So if I had my druthers, I'd go through and remix all of their whoos, and I had them so loud that it's distracting. Drummers working super hard. I like here too because what they're doing, and I don't know how intentional this is. I assume they just have a lot of influences and they're just a super good band. It seems like they're sort of like floating between kind of Stonesy, and then here they feel kind of T-Rexy, sort of glam at a certain point. And then there's a slide guitar solo, kind of going back to a sort of 70s Rolling Stones style. And I like this outro, this kind of single note that kind of builds around it, more of that shaking harmonica, you know? Shaking harmonica versus the whining harmonica, right? That's the shaking harmonica, that's the blues harmonica, and then you got the Bob Dylan harmonica, which is like, right? So we're just gonna stick with that. Do I do too much of that now? Do I do too much like imitating sounds? Because I'm not good at it. I'm good at words, like that's my thing. Words and slightly entertaining diversions like this one. Next track's called Field Division. This is probably my favorite track here. Kind of a Zeppelin-y riff, kind of a T-Rex riff. It might be in G tuning. More kind of glam chorus, back and forth. This tremendous resolving guitar solo that at a certain point even ends up being like double guitars, two guitars playing the same notes at the same time, which obviously makes you think of another great blues band that I should have mentioned up there with Zeppelin and Stones, which would be the Allman Brothers. Just these lyrics. Just listen to how goth these lyrics are. Okay, just imagine that you're the editor of a high school literary paper, okay? And you just have this poem that's sent in. I lied to God, faith dead, stage plot, birds strike at height, I glide. Nice though, in theme, keeping in themes with the airplane lyrics. And then it goes immediately into I'm being a silly Billy. I'm a fan of I'm being a silly Billy. I like that term. You know me, I like old-fashioned expressions like horse hockey and silly Billy, and I like it, why not? Next track is called Hug Calling Contest. These rumbling drums kind of start and then stop, and they all sing together. I don't know if it's trying to sound like Queen. It makes me think of Queen. Sort of like a let's introduce you to the band kind of opening, sort of a like early disco setup, and then leads to some more singing of this B741. Ooh, the drummer's going super hard on the ride cymbal here. Really nice. And then, okay, another thing I would do when I'm remixing all of King Gizzard's and the Lizard Wizard's music to make it more to my taste, every time they do that throat singing stuff, we got to push that up in the mix. We need to have that way up. Basically, I want it to sound like this. Woo! Woo! And I think that would be better. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. I forgot to tell you to like this video and smash the like bucket and subscribe. And if you leave a comment, then that means they changed it. YouTube changed. Now all the views are worth nothing. So it's all about the comments. But the cool thing is, if you want to leave a comment but you don't know what to say, because like, what do you say to a video this inane? You can just do A, V, A, no. AVAA. That stands for awesome video as always. And I will always heart that comment. That's what that means. So just throw one of those in there if you like what you see. Maybe you don't like what you see, in which case that's cool, you know. A little guitar solo in here. It's funny because I watch movies sometimes usually while I'm listening to a novel for the first time. I'm at the gym, I'm on the elliptical, and then I watch a movie with subtitles. And The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai was on. Great 80s movie. It really, really goes well with this. I'm not going to say it's like a Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of Oz kind of thing, but the kind of madcap, DIY, physical, tactile, science fiction-y, freak out, soulful weirdness of Buckaroo Banzai. If you've never seen it, it's a great movie. It's a great movie of its kind. It goes really well with it. So this was, if you sync it up, this is where the band Buckaroo Banzai and the Hong Kong crew, what are they called? Anyways, where they play in front of the crowd. It's nice there. More cheesy, fun lyrics. It's all about pigs. So they're like, hey, well, what do we know about pigs? Well, I'm sweating like a pig. And I'm putting lipstick on. Put lipstick on a pig. That's an expression. Happy in mud. Pigs go in mud. I'm going whole hog. These are high school lyrics. They're high school lyrics. That's cool. When pigs fly. Every single possible pig... the only thing they're missing is pearls before swine. That's the only pig cliche that they're missing in this one song. I'll be on the flight, B741, but no mud in the sky. Le Risque was the single that came off here. I like it because it starts off with a bass line that reminds me of Michael Anthony of Van Halen's bass line. The same place where I got this guitar is a place called Belmont Music. A woman named Robin taught me how to play bass. And the first song she taught me how to play was Running with the Devil by Van Halen, and this is the bass line. She wrote the whole thing for me. And then she taught me how to play the fill from Good Times, Bad Times. But that kind of like thumping, simple sound is nice, and the drums kind of shuffle, more of the piano, kind of tongue-in-cheek. This is interesting, because I think these lyrics are against thrill seekers. I think it's against people who look to find risk. I think it's against you only live once mentality. Or it's for it. I can't tell. You tell me in the comments, what do you think? I read this being against it, but maybe I'm biased because I hate you only live once. My expression is you only grow old once. And don't get that tattooed, because that's the whole point of Yogu lifestyle. Don't get tattoos, because you're going to be old eventually. You don't want to be the oldest millennial in the you don't want to be around a bunch of other millennials with sagging tattoos, in the retirement home. You only grow old once. Figure out how to do it, kind of gracefully. I think that's what this is about. I think a lot of this, I think a lot of this album, now that I think about it, stop saying think. I think a lot of this album, now that I think about it, is all about appreciating what you have, including like planet Earth and how beautiful it is, and not hoping for something else, some kind of mirage city to take you out, not looking for some kind of risk, but just to sort of be happy. And apparently the drummer sings the best lyrics on the entire album. No heart, no tick, I'm weak as piss, no risk, no fire, no flame, I'm always feeling the same. The risk, it sits at the tip of my tiny prick, no style, no ease, I'm a pathetic, forgotten steez. I think, right? I think that's like saying that people who are just looking for thrills that have small wieners. I don't know. Then we get to the track Flight B741, 4 count on the sticks, more kind of Stones guitar, more kind of Stones harmonica, singing all together, really kind of gentle. And again, these lyrics are great the way they're, the words are great the way they're sung, but if you just read them out loud, what if we fall out the sky? Is there even air to hold us? How are we floating here? This makes no sense. I want to go home. Sad Pilot. I'm not a real big fan of this song, but that's probably because the singing reminds me of the band The Spin Doctors. Again, if you didn't live through the 90s, you don't have to know who the Spin Doctors are. You're really lucky if you don't know who the Spin Doctors are. But now that I've told you, if you do know the Spin Doctors, next time you hear this song, you're going to be like, if you want to buy me flowers, just go. Anyways, but it's fine. It's a little too funky. The lyrics are maybe the best lyrics on the album, ironically, even though they're the clearest to hear. The sort of idea of a pilot being depressed, and then through their depression, these are good lyrics. They're delivered goofily, but the theme is important, which is that people who have authority over others, if they give in to their sadness and they center themselves too much on their own experience, then they forget the people who they're supposed to care for. So that can be the president of a country, that can be a father or a mother in a family, that can be a pilot when you're not thinking of the passengers, when you're drinking on the job. Damn it, Gizzard, you wrote a good lyric. Gotta leave my problems at the jet bridge. Can't be carrying heavy luggage, going too far. Too far, you didn't need to go that far. Just keep winging it. You don't need to always be so on the nose. I do like the bass on the bridge. Has kind of a Phil Lesh feel. Again, kind of Grateful Dead-y. Rats in the Sky comes straight from the last one. Don't care too much for the ground. Elevated Rats in the Sky. And this is about missing the magic of the mundane. And that's what I think this album's about. And whoa, hey, I didn't mean to do this. This is Kismet, you hippies. I didn't mean to start off the whole video and then tie that into the theme of the album. I could play it like I meant to, but no. Like, remember, I was like, why even talk about this album? They're just going to keep releasing great albums every year. Don't we get bored of all these great albums? No, this is great. We need to actually appreciate the magic of this mundane excellence that King Gizzard keeps putting out. It's magic. It's not. It's great. They're so good. Kind of a Scooby-Doo-wop. Just seriously. I went to the costume shop, Scooby-Doo-wop, and bought myself some wings. Scooby-Doo-wop. I'm a rat. Just gonna end it like that. Album ends with Daily Blues. Okay, listen, I spent so much time talking about how bad the lyrics are. They're really, sometimes they're good. They're always too much. They're always like too on the nose. But anyways, very bluesy style here. It's called Daily Blues, kind of blues rock. But in a way, the song is saved by its ridiculous length, by just how long it goes, how much it plays this. The guitar solo comes this close to being American Woman style guitar solo. And there's a little bit of do-do-do-do-do that comes this close to being Jack Black and Tenacious D, but it's okay. There's even a little jam that reminds me strongly of Love Light. Speaking of the Grateful Dead, it's nice. It's a nice little jam here, and there's this cool kind of There's this whole bit like there's throat singing with harmonica underneath, and then we get to this great lyric, and I think it's an important lyric. This is an important thing for our time. This is what hippie music should be in 2024. Hippie music in 2024 should not be like hippie music in 1968 because we have different problems. So this is talking about the division, the way that the demagogues have successfully divided us and put us against each other, and that what we really need to do is just learn to love each other, man. We need to like find the person that you hate, you know? And just like grab them by the hand and say, I love you. Those were the actual lyrics. And I'm not clowning on them. Those are good lyrics because that needs to be on the nose. You can't be cute with a message that important, okay? And listen how they followed up. What you got to do is find that person that you hate and grab them by the hand, look them in the eye and say, I love you. Very Christian message, but also very all good religions message. I love you. All the bigots, go get fucked. Give us back our free love. Faith only binds you to ideology. That ain't peace and that ain't free. The daily blues and nightly blues that he feels isn't that, these people are bad and I'm good. It's that everybody is convinced that they're good and other people are bad and they're fighting against each other. And I'm right there with you, whichever of the 11 members of the band wrote this song. I'm right there with you. I'm so upset with this. I think we all need to say that we love each other. Of course, it gets a little tricky because you almost end up in kind of a centrist territory, and it's hard to say I love you to somebody who denies the right of other people to exist, which is where we get into trouble. It's very actually hard to do that sometimes. These are my Patreons. They give me money to buy music and diapers. I need more diapers than music right now, but I still buy music. So I might buy this one. Am I like too performative in this video? I feel very sort of, hey, how's it going, everybody? Anyways, I'm having a good day. It's a Saturday. When you're this late in pregnancy, you just basically spend your whole day just staring at a belly. Just like, get out of the belly. That's just kind of where I am right now. Anyways, thank you for rocking along here. And until next time.